Loudoun County Parents at War Over Critical Race Theory Curriculum. Now, this article says there's two groups of parents at war in Loudoun County, Virginia. So I'm going to go over this real quick, and then we're going to watch the school board meeting public comments, which are very heated. So in this school district in Loudoun County, Virginia, 6 out of the 9 school board members and supposedly some other parents created a private Facebook group called Anti-Racist Parents of Loudoun County. And they compiled a lengthy list of parents that are suspected of disagreeing with the school system's actions, including its teachings of controversial critical race theory concepts. And if you're not familiar with what CRT or critical race theory is, it's an academic movement studying the intersectionality of race, power, and legal structures. The main ideas it likes to drive home are that white supremacy is prevalent and all white people are guilty of being white and they should denounce their whiteness. And at the same time, it's racist against every possible race out there. So now they started posting pictures, names, and information about the parents who have been coming to the school board meeting speaking out against critical race theory. They've been targeting them in this private Facebook group. A little bit of a backstory here. In January of 2020, Loudoun County School District Board Equity Committee voted unanimously to offer/provide equity in the center training to parents. The school system proposed, then withdrew, a policy to ban teachers from disagreeing with the school's racial philosophies, even when not on school district property. But that got scrapped, thankfully. In December 2020, the school paid $500,000 for race programs. They required all staff to undergo equity in the center training, promoting a sense of injustice and urgency. In January 2021, Eric Williams, the superintendent who set up the various equity programs, only to be besieged with unyielding complaints from both sides, quit and moved to lead a much smaller district. The clear, coordinated attempt by the anti-racist parents to intimidate, silence, and harass other parents concerned about what their kids are being taught is a prime example of what the world would look like if critical race theory became a dominant set of ideas. And they started making a list of all these parents. So we're going to hear what these parents have to say about this. And we're going to watch a clip that was in the news recently from Loudoun County of critical race theory in action at a prep school for colleges. It was a remote teaching session, and the teacher is really pressuring the guy to view things through this racist lens, basically, that they're calling anti-racist. So we're going to see all of that right now.
This past week, the administration's email denouncing anti-Asian hate in America had a glaring omission: the Asian discrimination exercised regularly from members sitting on this dais. When you hired the Equity Collaborative to allegedly investigate racial discrimination, Asians and Indians were not allowed to participate in the workshops, as LCBS believes only Black and Hispanics can face discrimination. When admissions to the academies of Loudoun was discussed last summer, the superintendent said it was, quote, unacceptable, end quote, that Asians were the only overrepresented group at ACL.
We cannot fool ourselves. The lack of diversity of admitted students is unacceptable.
When Sheridan Bart said Asians only obtained their slots because of biased tests, even liberal Ian Soroka noted that this is offensive.
It is offensive.
As the parent of 2 kids of Asian descent, the scariest decision Asian students must make occurs when told to check the box on race. Their decision to a competitive program may be deemed unacceptable by the openly racist school board members, such as Atusa Reeser, Brenda Sheridan, and Beth Bart. When are you going to acknowledge the hurtful comments that you make every week?
Like thousands of Loudoun County residents, I grow tired and embarrassed by the actions of this school system. A member of this board and others associated with LCPS have participated in the formation of a third-party group, Anti-Racist Parents of Loudoun County, or as I like to call them, Chardonnay Antifa. The purposes of this group is to identify and target parents or community members opposed to specific school policies, critical race theory, to name but one. This school system, having engaged through a proxy group the creation of a political hit list designed to suppress the First Amendment rights of Loudoun parents, is both wrong and dangerous. Parents should never be subjected to retribution for simply expressing concerns about their children's curriculum. Dispatching white wine commie mommies to do the school system's political dirty work is unacceptable and un-American. We are not the Bolsheviks of the former Soviet Union. We are not the Khmer Rouge. This is the United States of America.
Yield the mic.
Get it right.
Please turn the mic off.
So we all know at this point that parents who spoke up against Ms. Bartz or the racial labeling policies she supports were added to a list to be dealt with, while Beth and possibly several other board members who were in the group knew full well what was happening. Those of you who saw personal information of families in this county being posted and did nothing, shame on you. Because after all, Ms. Bartz, silence is complicity, right? What the group of keyboard trolls did has nothing to do with Mr. Beatty's comments and everything to do with the lies and meddling on social media by Mrs. Bartz. We all know this, and local law enforcement does now too. Dr. Ziegler, per your email, if LCPS isn't implementing questionable race theories into the classrooms, please explain the video of a Freedom High School teacher belittling a student in class when he didn't use skin color to describe two women in a photo, and why a CRT writing lab about whiteness and white fragility and white privilege was being taught there. Enough with the lies. We all see what's going on. Mr. Beatty, thank you for being the one to stand up.
The story behind this picture. I'd rather hold on to that. Just tell me what this seems to be a picture of.
It's just two people chilling.
Right, just two people. There's nothing more to this picture?
Nah, not really. Just two people chilling.
I don't believe that you believe that. I don't believe that you look at this as just two people. I don't think
Truly
you
is just two people, though, is it not?
Yeah, but I think you're being intentionally coy about what this is a picture of.
What would I be being coy about? It's two people standing back to back in a picture.
Yeah, and that's all you see is two people.
I'm confused on what you would like me to speak on in that sense.
I don't think you are. I don't know why you do this. I'm not trying to call you out, but you come out off of mute to talk about what this is a picture of, and you act as if there's nothing noticeable about this apart from the fact that they're two people.
Well, I'm confused. Are you trying to get me to say that there are two different races in this picture?
Yes,
is that
I am
what
asking
you want
you
me
to
to
say
say?
that.
Well, at the end of the day, wouldn't that just be feeding into the problem of looking at race instead of just acknowledging them as two normal people?
No, it's not, because you can't look at the people and not acknowledge that there are racial differences, right?
But if we're going for, let's say if we're looking for equality within all this, then why would we need to point out things such as that?
Because those differences are real things. You can't.
5 days a week with teachers in the classroom. I also want to say how disappointed I am in those board members who are part of the anti-racist Parents of Loudoun County group. You sat by and stayed silent while these self-loathing people created a hit list of parents who disagree with CRT and branded us racist, particularly Ms. Bartz, who is actively contributing to the group's illegal activities. You don't deserve to hold a spot on this board. As someone on that list, I am disgusted, and I'm here to say I will not be silenced by a bunch of deranged individuals.
My Jewish relatives were hunted or killed by Nazis. Others were persecuted in Russia. I was shot in the leg by a neo-Nazi when I was a child. I know what extremism looks like, and you should as well. I'm here tonight because I learned that my name was added to a modern-day enemies list. The reason? Quote, Dan Salinger spoke about the need for a middle ground in constructing a comprehensive equity plan. A middle ground. The group responsible for this list rejects moderation. That's the definition of extremism. They say they want to investigate, hack, and publicly expose those who don't agree with them. That's extremism. The list includes legal names, spouses' names, addresses, and employers. That's intimidating. Incredibly, several Loudoun County board members are also members of this extremist group. Even if you took no part in the list, you took no action against it. At minimum, you lent credibility to this extremist ideology and with your passive membership. A list like this puts a target on me. It puts a target on my family and 40 other families. Think about how a zealot might use this list. I don't want to be shot a second time.
Linda Killen.
As a parent, I am the voice of my children, and I have been witness to the damage virtual learning and isolation has had on them. Thus, I am passionate about returning them to the classroom. This week, I learned that a member of this board went to a private Facebook group shortly after her censure to incite a social justice mob in a call to action and violence in order to out those who dared oppose her. This was done under the thinly veiled guise of opposition to CRT, and that my name had been added to the list for speaking here at board meetings. For the record, advocating for your children your children's education is called parenting, not racism. Board members Sheridan, Sirotkin, Corbo, King, and Reeser, equity has taught us that silence is complicity. I personally hold you and the 3 members of the Board of Supervisors, the Commonwealth's attorney, the staff and consultants of Loudoun County who remained silent during her call to violence complicit in her efforts to shut down her detractors by threatening and intimidating them into silence. I have filed a complaint with the Sheriff's Office, lodged ethics complaints with the Virginia School Board, the National School Board Association, and advice of counsel. I am here tonight to say I will not be coerced into silence.
Ma'am, your time is up.
I call out the 6 school board members, the 2 board of supervisors, the Commonwealth attorney, even the principal at Briarwoods, all in that anti-racist parents Facebook group. You all remained silent while this mob blacklisted several of your constituents. I was personally attacked. My name, my first name, my last name, where my son goes to school, who my husband is, where I live, and 3 pictures of me were all on that Facebook page. They wanted to send postcards to our neighbors calling us racist and come to our homes with a megaphone and call us racist. And Beth Bartz, you incited this mob. I blame you for these people, including teachers, to come after us because we have different opposing views. Have you not learned your lesson yet? You've been reprimanded, censured, taken off of committees, and you continue your offensive typing on social media. You will be recalled. We've had enough of your shenanigans. Put our children first.
Good evening. I've been one of the leaders of a coalition of concerned parents who've been working since last summer to lobby this school board to come up with a plan to return all students to the classroom. When we started this last August, never in a million years could I have imagined that advocating for my daughter's right to a full-time in-person education would land me on a blacklist. Yes, I've been identified as a target by this group, Anti-Racist Parents of Loudoun County. This group alarmingly includes not just parents, but current and former teachers, and several of you. At what point did our school board members go from serving residents to targeting them, compiling lists of tax-paying citizens and parents fighting for their children's rights, not to mention exercising First Amendment rights, is in a pretty scary territory. While I filed a police report and I know there's an active investigation into this group's activities, I can't help but wonder if I'll have a rock thrown through my window, or will my children be targeted when they return to school?
On the playgrounds, the weather's getting better, let them play. And for the love of God, Ms. Bartz, pull it together. I am sick and tired of LCPS being in the media for embarrassingly immature reasons. Promoting taking action against parents who don't agree with your views on the heels of public censure is outrageous. You're a poor example to the public leadership of our youth and have absolutely no business on this board.
Emma Celentano.
My name is Carly Copeland, and I am on the so-called hit list. How low are we going to go? Your claim that culturally relevant instruction, CRI, is not rooted in CRT is factually and deliberately false. I refer you to the January 15, 2020 MSAC General Body Committee meeting, the 2610 mark, where an LCPS employee details Geneva Gay as being an inspiration for the CRI. According to Gay, 2002, culturally relevant teaching is grounded in CRT. You are indeed attempting to overhaul our school system into your worldview. I do not give you permission to teach my kids and their teachers to feel guilty about being white. Permission is not granted. CRT and CRI are nothing more than conspiracy and intellectual terrorism. They assault reason, logic, proof, and evidence. Your systemic equity assessment is proof of this claim as it's based on experience and anecdotal reports and interviews. It's nothing more than conjecture. Beth, I hope you got our...
A couple days ago, I asked my daughter what she'd like to see out of the school board. You know what her response was? To stay out of national news. How many liberal areas are there that can stay out of national news on a weekly basis? And you can't blame it just on Beth Bartz. There's 5 of you up there that are right in line with her. Vote with her every time, keep schools closed just like her. You know, you all are just the same. I mean, just because you don't say it on social media doesn't mean that you're not the exact same, mold. 50% of schools are open in the nation, fully. Where's the data to back it up, that it's unsafe for our schools to be open? There is no data to back that up. No science to back it up, no data. Also, why not have test scores? Prove that your distance learning is better than in person.
Thank you.
Can't do it, can you?
Far too much time is being spent calling out LCPS. Instead, our sole focus should be getting our children back in school 5 days a week with teachers in the classroom. Thank you, Mr. Beatty, for the work that you have done, and Mr. Sorokin and others. But the fact that you have in your employ and on our school board those who do not only agree with discrimination, but go so far as to condone or participate in the witch hunt of citizens for voicing their opinion is unbelievable. Anyone who promotes bigotry in any form towards anyone should not be working for our school system, not in the administration, in the schools, or the school board, period. LCPS did adopt CRT. They spent thousands of dollars in training. The links from Dr. Ziegler take us to all kinds of CRT things. Our high school students are being filled with hate-filled rhetoric of bigotry. It's not a misconception. A snake by any other name is still a snake. We can do better.
Mr. Beatty, thank you. Mr. Ziegler, you need to fire whoever crafted that email for you on Friday. Here's why. 702 words. I pull out 6. Do you know how much money we've spent on equity this year? You spent $500,000 on the equity committee or the equity consulting group, right? You have 350 equity soldiers in this county, and you're telling us that you're not teaching equity to our students, no training? You provided a link for every single resource for me to counter what you sent to us. I would fire who wrote that. And let me go, I don't have much time. Bartz, you need to do your research because critical race theory is in this school. Do your research. Right? It's that simple. It's on your website. Look it up for God's sakes. This is not that hard. I'm going to keep coming after you with information.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm not going to stop until you learn the material that I provide to you.
Time is up, please.
Because you don't know the material in this school system.
Please turn his mic off.
You're lying.
I am on the list, not Santa's list, but a list of enemies, a list created by a group led by the marching orders of one of your colleagues. This list included names, places of work, where they lived, and their perceived wrongs. The goal of the group was to stop those people who they, as judge, jury, and executioner, believed were impeding their mission. Something we would expect to see in the news from Vladimir Putin was happening in our own backyard. All of this precipitated from a call for action from Beth Bartz. Unintended consequences of those actions, those are forgivable. But intended consequences are not. So when they happen, there should be severe punishment. Ms. Bartz, the list, the crimes, the doxing, all were your intentions. Your thank you post in the Facebook group provides undeniable evidence that the outcome met your approval. Conduct Policy 1035 doesn't need more watering down. It needs more aggressive and serious consequences for members who repeatedly break these rules and norms and incite others to break the law. Stop the politics and bickering and do what is right and good for the community. I should not have to live in fear because my opinions may differ from elected officials.
In the fall. Having said that, aren't you guys tired of being in the news for all the wrong reasons? Aren't you tired of having to defend yourselves and your decisions? Is your goal to be as dysfunctional as California? It seems like everything you try to put in place is like trying to fit square pegs into round holes. Doing the right thing is never that hard. Your latest poor choice in removing advanced math from middle school is terrible. I truly feel sorry for anyone with a gifted child coming through LCPS. What happened to the days when we lifted those kids up? One size doesn't fit all. You guys used to know that. That's why people flock to our county. Every child should be given the chance to reach their full potential, and lowering the standards makes that impossible. Those who need extra help should get it without taking away from others. Our kids aren't clones. They are all unique with different skills, abilities, and desires, and that's okay.
Hi, my daughter has not been given a safe, critical thinking environment. She has been taught a lopsided, one-sided history that includes such fallacies that only one race was subjected to slavery. Do you want to guess which one? LCPS staff also told my daughter that she can peacefully protest at the age of 14 with parents' consent and be excused from school. I'm sure if it was a protest against the school, it would not be an excused absence. This biased teaching approach is divisive and destructive to our children's learning potential. Parents and children should be able to trust the school system and to teach accurate information, relevant information, and to not lead our children down a path of self-destruction. The current approach needs to change its tact, or we will follow the wrong path for generations to come.
To do this for our children. And please refrain from using hit lists going forward. Thank you.
Hybrid to 4 days. I have been an open schools advocate for a long time and have been coming to these meetings for longer than I care to think about. It has come to my attention through national media that Loudoun County parents like me have been targeted by a group containing members of the school board. The report says that parents have been put on lists and targeted for negative treatment. My opinion is that elected officials should be representing parents, not targeting them. I mean, how do you even have time to do this? Why aren't you laser focused on opening schools? Making lists is historically a way to chill speech and public debate. It is also a betrayal of your role as elected officials. I encourage the school board to speak out against this group and these actions today, because I don't want to see a time when parents are afraid to make public comment for fear of personal repercussions. Silence is complicity.